just to make sure. Okay. Well, welcome everybody. Happy Friday. And this is the beginning of the summer holiday and the summer fun that we're going to have. The 100 deadliest days in the state of Utah. So please be careful while you're out there, taking time to have fun on the holiday, but let's not have anybody be a statistic. So let's start off with, let me share my screen real quick. Okay, let's see. Techie, I'm going to have you read this time. Will you? Will you read the culture piece for us?
Yeah. Gun shy. We never treat another person, including ourselves, in a manner that makes them feel small. We lift one another to have a richer, more fulfilling life instead of feeling inferior or superior to anyone. Gun shy.
Gun shy. Not to be misunderstood with gun shy. Gun shy is much different.
My God, I was literally thinking that. I swear to God, Carrie, I was literally thinking that the second you said that.
It sounds so much like it, but you know, this is such a great piece for us, and I think when we talk about what we're going to talk about today, it's really going to be helpful if you think about Genshai when we're having these discussions and talking with our people, that we never treat another person, you know, that in a way that makes them feel small. And we want to lift. We want to help lift and have them have a richer, more fulfilling life. So not superiority or any of that kind of thing, but a way for us to truly, you know, reach out to our people. So, okay. Thanks, Bree. We have your picture. We will just pretend like you're on. If you have your camera and you can turn it on, we encourage you to do so, because this is like being in a real meeting. And we want to make sure that we can see your lovely faces. So the first thing I want to do is talk a little bit, because I mentioned this last week and we did not get to it, but I wanted to ask or talk to you a little bit about outcomes, and then we want to and expectations, because we were going to kind of share some of that. How many of you have taken some time, you've looked at, you know, what the outcomes and the expectations are for your group, for the individuals that you have? Do you have some ideas? Anybody kind of take a little bit of time to do that? Or even if you are not leading a team, did you take time to think about your own outcome and expectations? Anybody in particular have an example they want to give me of some things that they did? Or should I? Yeah, Arturo.
Yeah, definitely. Some examples as we work on a people business is some of the expectations is always be friendly, always be professional, always try to have a smile on your face, because you never know what the person that you are helping is going through. You know, they're looking for work, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as if you're not able to give them a job, at least they can have a good energy from you that you're gonna be helping them. That's one of our biggest expectations here in the office for my team members.
So it's kind of like, Arturo, it's making sure that the client, who's our candidates, have a great experience, right?
Yes. Yes.
That's great. And I think that's really important, to truly make sure that they have a great experience, regardless of whether they come to work for us or not, but their experience is great. So anybody else?
I had a few. So we had like the KPIs, right, which are always a big piece of it, making sure the clients are touched weekly. But what was really important with the team that I manage is to make sure that the leader that they have, like with Mariah, is to make sure she's ensuring team morale is up, make sure everybody's aligned with the culture, and making sure that my job is to make sure that she's got the tools she needs to make sure these guys are successful, right? And so it's my job to make sure she's keeping in mind how to handle the morale as well. So that way we, our applicants and our clients are super important, but our team members have to also be taken care of. And so that was a big piece for me, was defining that.
Yeah. And again, I think that's fantastic. So I think that ultimately, as we talk about these things, we've got to have those outcomes and expectations in order to be able to, talk about talent and strengths. So today we're on the fourth key. What are the other three keys? Who can tell me? This is a test. Only a test in the emergency broadcast system of Smart University. Anybody can tell me what the four keys are? In order, if we could. And we're on number 4 today. Okay, I'm old, and my
Find the right
memory is
fit.
not that bad.
Go ahead, Techie.
Find the right fit, focus on strengths, define the right outcome, select for talent. Is that what you mean?
Those are the things. Can you put them in order?
The select for talent, define the right outcome, focus on strengths, and find the right fit.
There you go.
There you go.
That's right. And it's okay to use your book and sheet. I don't care, as long as we understand. So in order to find the right people to hire for talent, we've got to define outcomes. We have to define outcomes. And then once we bring people in, we got to really focus on their strengths. We had a great discussion last week about that. And today is making sure that we find the right fit. And it was a really good chapter. It was long. Okay. If you waited until this morning to read it, you might have not got through all of it, but it was a really good chapter. And as we read these things, you guys, it's really important that you read the chapter so we can have discussions, so that I'm just not going through each thing, on my own, but we can actually have discussions. I don't want to have to sit and read the whole time and lecture. I want to be able to ask, good questions, and so we can have good discussions around this. But we start off with, and I love this mindset that we've chosen to do. Again, I've mentioned this many times. You'll probably hear it many more times. We're not perfect at making these selections. That is not the idea. The idea is that we're working on using resources and a process that helps us get better at finding this. So one of the reasons this chapter we have now is so helpful is because it's helping. If we make a mistake, we have the ability to find the right fit for those people, okay, that we make a mistake for. It doesn't mean, of course, that they're bad people, and it doesn't mean that we've completely failed in what we were trying to do. But now we need to come together and say, okay, this isn't a good fit where you're at, but let's see if there is a good fit for where you want to go. So have any of you, as leaders, managers, coaches, and we're going to talk about coaches, so I'm going to call you coaches, okay? Have any of you had people ever come to you and say, and Belinda, I know you have, because we've had many discussions about this, hey, how do I move up and where do I go from here? Anybody? Yeah. And when that happens, it's like, okay, now what? What do I tell them? And today we're going to talk about what you would tell them. And we need to work on these things within our company as to what the plan is, so we know what to tell them instead of going, oh my gosh, they just asked me a question. Let me see. I don't really know. I'm going to go to management and talk with them, and I'll get back to you. Is that what we do? Is that successful? Okay.
Now, I can tell you, so this happened with Jess my very first day. and went to lunch, and literally it was like, "Hi, I'm Shane." She says, "Hi, I'm Jess. I want to move up in the company." I was like, "Okay, it's nice to meet you as well." I, and the way that I handled it was just ask questions. It was our very own needs audit with her, was to gather information. Okay, great. What do you want to do? Where do you see yourself? And some of the questions, right, that you asked, what are your strengths?
Yeah.
And what are your talents? And that was the type of things that we talked about, because it was there to get a better feel for what she actually wanted to do versus what we thought that she should be doing.
And now that we have that's a good example. Now that we feel like, and she feels like she's in the right spot. Now, what's the path for her? Is it to, again, you just said it, Shane, move up in the company? Is that the right path? Move up in the company? Okay, so those are some things for us to think about as we talk. So this first little section is really kind of an introduction. Then I'm going to use some scenarios that I really like, and I think that will really explain how this thing works and how we should be looking forward. So namely, the thing that we're trying to do is to help each person find the right fit, as Shane just mentioned with Jess. I knew and had already talked with Jess way before Shane had come on board. So I figured when he came on board, that would be one of the first things that she'd be asking, because that was the direction we wanted to head with her. So and again, I'm on the very first page, the blind and breathless climb. It says about 3 paragraphs down that we should help each person find a role that asks them to do more and more of what they are naturally wired to do. That's the thing, is finding out what are they naturally wired to do, and let's help them find a role that they can do that. You don't have to raise your hand, but are you in a role that is using your natural strengths and talents that you're naturally wired to do, and you're using those things every single day? Are you in that role for yourself? Or are you hoping that you get to move up in the company? Okay. So I think that that's a really good question to ask ourselves. So help each person find a role where their unique combination of strengths, skills, knowledge, and talents match the distinct demands of the role. Jason, what role are you in?
I'm in a sales role.
And what distinct and unique combination of strengths, skills, knowledge, and talents match that role?
So I
Yours.
feel my strengths, yeah, I feel my strengths are, I'm a people person. I do well in front of people. And so that's where I'm comfortable. That's where I like to be, is to be able to get out and sell. I don't like to be stuck behind a desk. I don't like to be it would drive me nuts to be like in Scott's role. We're wired different. I'm wired to be out and about and talking to people. He's wired to be, numbers, and that would drive me crazy. So yeah, right fit, right role.
Yeah. Yeah. So we all need to look at that and make sure that not only are we in the right role, but the people that we're coaching. Remember, you're a coach, and you're building a team, and you want to be successful with that team. So, and unfortunately, in today's world, and it's been going on for many years, that people still think in order to get ahead, we need to climb the corporate ladder. And that's a huge mistake. So it says here, we still think that the most creative way to reward excellence in a role is to promote the person out of it. Let me read that again, because if you didn't get that, it's crazy. We still think that the most creative way to reward excellence in a role is to promote the person out of the role. How many of you agree with that? That we should promote people out of the role? Okay. What's the exceptions to that?
Termination.
Okay. Or Jason, find another fit, right?
Right.
Okay. But termination can be part of that.
Right.
But you know, we need to look at that. We shouldn't promote people out of the things that they're excellent at. It says here we still tie pay, perks, and titles to a rung on the ladder. Look, I've spent a lot of my time in again, I've had, oh gosh, 50, I started when I was 12 years old working in a restaurant, and I've never stopped working since. That's been about 54 years, just so you know. 45 of those years have been in sales management or whatever. And I always believed this theory that I need to climb the corporate ladder for many, many years. Now, I don't believe that anymore, and I haven't for quite some time, because I believe in doing things that we enjoy doing, not climbing the corporate ladder. I have climbed it, and it isn't all that I wanted it to be. Now, some people can do that, and that's because that role fits them. But for me, there was other paths, okay? And that's really important for us to understand. So if we're not careful, this, you know, let's explain this, okay? Bree, I'm going to pick on you. You don't have your camera on, but you can speak. What's the typical path for people, and where do they end up on that typical path? Can you give us an idea?
Well, I guess if you're talking, maybe not, I guess typical and the right path, I don't know, are the same, but typical path is, oh, you're doing so great, you're moving to the next level, and the next level, whether you want to go to management or not, you move up the ladder. But usually the right path to me is not always, there's could be career paths like level 1, level 2, level 3 within what they're doing, giving them more responsibility in what they're doing, or more, you know, and I guess in recruiting, like harder level roles or whatever it might be, because that's where they want to stay.
Yeah. And so, unfortunately, eventually on that path, on the traditional path, you will get yourself into a position of incompetence. You're not competent to do some of the roles. Now, people can be trained and so forth, but if it isn't, you know, kind of matching your talents and strengths, you're going to find yourself at some point in incompetence, and that will kill you. And then you're trapped. What did it say about the rungs of the ladder as you're climbing them? What happens to the rungs below you? Remember? Anybody?
They
They
burn.
disappear, or someone takes
They-
them away.
Yeah,
They can't go back.
they disappear. They get burned. They're burned up. You can't go backwards. And now you're trapped in a rung that you're incompetent. And what's most likely to happen? Now, Jason, this is where you come in. What's most likely to happen?
Termination.
Termination. You know, you either quit or you get fired because you're not competent to do that role. So let's talk about this. I thought about this a lot, and I thought, how can I best explain this path? This path that we call what? What's it called when we're putting ourselves in a position of high performing, but not climbing the ladder of corporation? What's it called?
The hero's
Was it the
path.
hero's path?
The hero's path. You know what? I can see some of us with Superman or Superwoman across our chest. This is the hero's path. This is the hero's path. Okay. So I thought about this. And we're going to use a sports analogy. Some of you may not like sports or may not understand, you know, the game, but I'm going to talk about it anyway because it's a huge comparison with what we're talking about here. And I'm going to use both some personal and also some professional type of scenarios. I played basketball. I played a lot of sports in high school, and I played point guard for my high school team. I started off, the high school head basketball coach started working with us when I was in 6th grade. And he worked with us all the way through my, past my senior year. He continued. But what was he looking for? What was the head coach looking for out of 6th graders?
Potential.
Potential talent, right? Potential talent. The head coach was looking for potential talent. So as we were going through, I started in my 7th grade year on the 7th grade team. I started my 8th grade year. I started my 9th grade year. I started my 10th grade year. I did not excel to the point where I started as a sophomore for the varsity team, but I did start for every year of my class. But there were some people behind me that were more superstars, and they were able to move up and from their freshman and sophomore year and start as on the varsity team. I did dress on varsity, but I didn't start on varsity when I was younger. Okay. So we're looking for that talent. So let's just go up to the professional level. So I'm going to go back a few years. We have Jerry Sloan. Anybody remember Jerry Sloan?
Yes.
Okay. The Utah Jazz, many years basketball coach. What about Phil Jackson? Anybody remember Phil Jackson? What team was Phil Jackson with?
The Bulls.
Yep, Chicago Bulls. And who happened to be on the Chicago Bulls team?
Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan. That's the first name that's going to pop into your head. And Scottie Pippen and a whole host of others, but Michael Jordan. And who was on the Utah Jazz team?
Stockton to Malone.
Stockton to Malone. Okay. See, we remember all those. All right. Let's talk about Coach Sloan and Coach Jackson. What is their job to do?
Win a championship.
That's right. They are to win games. Okay. They are the coach. They are to win games, and they are to win a championship. Let's see. Joe, what is our job as coaches to do?
Is to coach. So lead,
Okay.
guide, direct, support, help with goals, to help them to make sure that they know what the expectations and outcomes are, and then to support them and coach them to get those outcomes and expectations.
Because we are supposed to win games, right? Because
That's right.
Gary.
But what
Yeah.
coach have you ever heard that said, hey, get out of the game, I'm going in to make those free throws, or I'm going in to make that?
Yeah. Scott?
Sorry, I had to step away for a call, and I came back, and you finally started talking about something that mattered.
Oh, great. Thanks,
I'm
Scott.
just kidding. I'm totally kidding. Anyway, so I'm going to add to Joe's thing here is all of what Joe said is perfect, and I would probably just add there that making sure that the player's in the right spot. Because if you have Rudy Gobert shooting three-pointers for your game winning, that's not the recipe for success. So you've got to know your team well enough to know what positions they're in, and you got to make sure that you're well balanced and make sure that everyone's in the spot that will align and give you the best chance of success.
Right. Okay. So that's really good, Scott. And we are going to dig into that a little bit deeper. But ultimately, Coach Phil Jackson and Jerry Sloan, what did Jason say they're doing? They're there to win a championship. That's why they're hired. You are the coaches in our company. What is your responsibility to do? So win games, which means bring in customers and fill these orders so we win games. We are here to build an economic engine. We are here to win. Okay. Now, I just remember when I played high school ball, I never, ever, ever once was told or even thought about my pathway to playing would end up me coaching. Nobody said to me, okay, Kerry, you're pretty good, you're fast, you can dribble the ball, you can shoot, you can pass, crazy. And so, you're doing really, really well at that. Your next move is to be a coach. Did Jerry Sloan, when he started coaching Stockton and Malone, did he sit down with them and say, look, you guys, you've gone from, the bench to a starter, and your next move is going to be coach? How many of you think that was what they said? No. Okay, so Stockton and Malone, they went from rookie to sitting on the bench to starting position to an all-star position to Hall of Fame. That was the path. Okay. Why is it that in corporate America, our path is you are a top performer, you can outshoot, out dribble, out pass, out rebound anybody. We need to make you a manager. Why do we do that?
Well, it's because we are trying to get their skills and imprint them on others, and to try and get other ones to be exactly like the person that we thought that they were this great individual, right? We knew they were this great individual, and we're trying to train other people to be just that way, and that doesn't work.
It doesn't, because, and I'll tell you why it doesn't. Number one, because we have weak coaches. That's their job, is to find the high performers and get them out on the court to win games. And as coaches, that's our job. And we need to look at people and give them a pathway. Who makes more money, the all-star player or the coach?
The all-star player.
Why?
Because they're performing. They're the ones that are out on the court. They're the ones that actually make the shots. And so
Yeah.
they're the ones that get, the money, the endorsements, all the accolades. The coaches just behind the scenes making sure it's run right.
Right. And doesn't mean coaches don't get paid well. They get paid well, but high performing people make the big money. So why isn't our path that way? Why don't we have a path called the hero's path that allows people to love what they do? Again, I didn't want to be a coach. I wanted to play. Okay. Every time I never said, hey, coach, you're not putting me in. Can I coach with you? No, I wanted to play. I wanted to be out on that floor. And these, when you think about the people, these all-star NBA players, most of them, there are some that most of them do not come out and coach. They become sportscasters or, sports analysis or whatever. But most of them are not coaches, and most of them are not good at coaching when they try. I remember when Michael Jordan tried his hand at that and it failed miserably. So here we take this guy who's is amazing, one of the greatest ever to play, and we say, why don't you come and coach and teach all of your skills to somebody else? It didn't work. It did not work. So here we are doing the same thing in corporate America, and your people that you hire come in and they say, look, I'm a salesperson, I'm a recruiter. But how do I get to be a manager? And how do I get to be, how do I get to move up the corporate ladder? Like, why do we do that? Why don't we have a path for people to be able to do what they do best and be top performers? And we pay them well because they're high performance. They're bringing in business, or they're filling orders like crazy, and they're making us lots of money, and they're making themselves lots of money. We pay them well to make that happen. And they get the accolades, they get all of the, again, it's the players that bring in the fans, and it's the players that bring in the sponsorships. And as team members that you have as a coach, you've got to bring in the talent so that we have clients that want to do business with us, and they're so happy with us because of the performance of our filling orders. That's the way we should be going. Okay, so as we talk about this, what do you think the hero's role would be for the different roles that we have? Jason, let's talk with you first, and then I'm going to go to recruiting. So you recruiting people, be prepared. What would a pathway, and it even talks about it in the book, but what would be a pathway for a salesperson?
Continuous growth in that role. Continuous, like we're doing today, continuous training, continuous tools to help him be more successful in that role. And so, so as a coach, if I had somebody, that was an all-star and things like that, I would continue to refine his skills in order for him to continue to be successful in that role. And that's the hero's path, is to continue to remotivate and to, continue to help that person grow in that role. I mean, that's the path to me.
So it talked about in the book, the first step, these are just examples. The first step would be the $1 Million Club. Okay. Sell $1 million worth of business, and you're going to get to be on the $1 Million Club. But the ultimate goal was, do you remember what it was? Anybody? The ultimate goal was what? The President's Club.
That's right.
Okay. So that would be millions of dollars of revenue brought in. So shouldn't we have a path that says, look, you're going to start off this sales position, and you're going to perform. And as you perform, do we have time limits on performance to be able to pay for performance? So if John Stockton and Karl Malone or any professional sports person excels quickly, do they say, well, no, seniority, we've got this guy, he's been around a long time, he's not the greatest, but you've got to kind of wait your turn? Is that how the professional sports world works? No. Michael Jordan goes in that fast if he can do an outstanding job and perform better than anybody else. And so does he get paid more by doing that? Yes. It's called a contract, and they upgrade those contracts all the time. So we should be looking at the same thing. Hey, you come in, you're selling like crazy. Should we pay you better and give you a better path to be able to do more of just that? Okay. So that should be a path for our sales team. And again, I've used this scenario before. Shane knows this scenario. Diane Ferguson was a fantastic, she was an all-star salesperson, and they shoved her into a management position. And I remember when she quit, and we brought her back, and she was very adamant. Do not put me into management. Let me do what I do best. She still outperforms everybody. She made the most money in the company because she was a high performer. So that's the kind of people that we want in that hero's path. So let's talk about recruiting. What would be a recruiting path? The hero's path for a recruiter. Any thoughts, you recruiting coaches? You're the coach. You're the coach. You got to bring these people, your team, to win games. What's the pathway for them?
We also do, like President's Club, we have a bonus program which helps. That's based on your performance as a recruiter on top of what you're already doing. I like the idea that we've done a lot of like senior recruiter type thing, give them a little bit more hands-on training and knowledge so that they can help kind of coach in the middle of the team itself, you know. And I really like the bonus program because then you get paid for being a top performer above and beyond what you would normally.
Yeah. Any other thoughts about a pathway for recruiting?
I agree with Ashley. I think it's kind of, you start at junior recruiter, then you're a recruiter, and then senior recruiter. But if you don't want to move into a manager at that point, there's just opportunity to earn more money and work on harder roles and have more autonomy in your role. And you're not capped at, say, a certain salary just because you're sticking with that title of senior recruiter, and you're given the opportunities without having to manage a team. And maybe that's become an executive recruiter, different titles like that, but it's not necessarily moving past that recruiter seat because that's where you enjoy it.
Yeah. And when you find a top talent salesperson or recruiter, are you hoping to move them out and put them into a role they're incompetent in? And now you've just lost your superstar? Is that the path that you're looking for? Is that the path they're looking for because they know that the only way up is through climbing the corporate ladder, because that's the only thing we've ever talked about? Yes, you want to be a manager, you bet. That's the best way to move up. That we're going to promote you and we're going to give you status, we're going to give you a new title, and we're going to pay you more money because you're climbing the corporate ladder, and you're going to fail. We're going to set you up to fail because this is not the role for you, but that's the only way that we do it. Maria?
I've shared this story before where when we had Visible as a really big client and we didn't have an on-site, how Kyle had come to me and he was like, hey, we think you'd be a really good on-site for Visible because you've been here long enough, like, you know how it works, blah, blah, blah. And I looked at him and I was like, no, I cannot be an on-site. Like, I can recruit, you know, all the recruiting you want, but I cannot be an on-site. An on-site is not for me. And I truly believe that if they would have placed me on an on-site, I would not be here today because I knew that is not something I was comfortable with doing or something I could commit to.
Yeah, that was so discovering your role. And again, it's really important that we focus on people's talents and strengths, that they are doing the right role. And again, think about this. A NBA basketball player, they're excited about doing one thing, and that is playing basketball at the highest level they possibly can. And they want to be paid well to do that. Okay? If you hire a salesperson or you hire a recruiter, they should be excited about doing the one role that they love doing because that's what they love doing. And let's pay them well to make that happen. Let's give them a pathway to make that happen. Okay? And that's the hero's path. We need to define it. Again, in sports, it's, you know, we bring you on as a rookie, and then you're going to move to, you know, you're going to be on the bench, but then you're going to move to a starting position or a second string position, and then a starting position, and then an all-star position. That's the pathway. And each one of those is going to bring millions of dollars in pay for that performance. It doesn't say anywhere where we're going to move you into a coach's position or move you into a management position or a leadership position, because this isn't what they want to do. They want to play basketball. So if you have people, and believe me, we just hired and had somebody leave not too long ago who, when I interviewed and multiple people interviewed, said, I love sales. I love it. It's what I want to be. So we put him in that position. And when he left, he said, I'm not really a salesperson. Now, this is an experienced person. This isn't somebody that's just brand new. They were experienced. So why was that? Because they thought they needed to climb the corporate ladder, and they didn't get to climb the corporate ladder. And so they now announced, I'm not really a salesperson. What I wanted was to climb the corporate ladder. And that wasn't a good fit. Okay. So I think it's important for us to really pay attention to, the people. So hiring right, hiring for talent. When professional sports teams bring on players, who goes out and looks at them?
Scouts.
Talent scouts. Okay, they're looking for what? Oh, I didn't say. Oh, wait a minute. It didn't say experienced scouts. It didn't say skilled scouts. It said talent scouts. Isn't that interesting? Talent
Right.
scouts. What are their talents? Now, again, I'm not diminishing skill and I'm not diminishing experience, because those play an important part of our process. You're going to see resumes that will, again, show experience and skill, which get us thinking, I should talk to this person. But what's the talent? What strengths do they have? What do they bring to the team? As a coach, I'm going to hire the best players possible for my team, and I'm not going to put them in a position of incompetence just because I bring them on and this is their pathway. Boom, I'm going to hire for talent. Okay? So talent scouts go out and find people. Now, again, it's not perfect. They're not perfect at it. There's plenty of changes and mistakes that get made, but we're at least thinking about it. They're at least looking at talent, and they study it and they look at film. And I mean, how many of you look at film for your hire of a recruiter? We don't have film, right? So it's pretty hard to do that. But we should do something like that that allows us to study, what talents are these people bringing to the table. So as we think about these things, again, are we looking at talent? We need to look at that talent. We need to have the outcomes defined. Positions. Scott just mentioned this a second ago. What are the positions? For me, I grew to the height that I am right now in junior high school, and then I didn't grow anymore. Everybody passed me up. So they looked at me and went, "Oh man, this guy's going to be, 6'5", and I'm not." So, but my talent was I was fast. I could dribble. I could shoot. I could pass. I could run a team. It was not being the center or the forward. I would not have succeeded in that position. I succeeded in the others. So we need to recognize our people that we hire. What are the talents that they bring? What role should they be playing? What position should they be at? And we need to look at that very carefully. Okay. What are your thoughts on that, you guys?
It's funny you say. I mean, just talking back about the NBA, even the a lot of these talent scouts, the guys that go out, and then you see this all the time that guys want to be traded, or they think they're not in the right role, and they go to the different team and they flounder, and they're not, and they're just, it blows up the whole situation. Instead of them just taking on their role and succeeding in that role and then being rewarded for it. Some people some people just get greedy and they want to keep, it's kind of a lateral climb. It's not, so much on the rung, but it's just, we gotta, it comes down to what you said. We got to reward for people being, successful. And I think it doesn't have to be a huge reward. I mean, yes, everyone wants to make the presidential club or whatever and get paid well, but that's going to happen naturally. But I think a lot of our employees like just small rewards, sometimes just recognition, whether it's in sales or in recruiting. If we just do that along the way and keep people happy, I think they stick around longer.
Yeah. So Belinda,
I have a comment too. Yeah.
please.
I just wanted to say that the hiring for the talent is absolutely the way to go. However, what is also a big boo-boo that I have seen so many times is that we hire for talent in key positions that we actually require relevant industry experience for. And this would probably be in your sports analogy. We hire people to take the coach role when they don't have coaching experience in that sport. So we say, you guys are all the basketball people. Well, I'm not, but I can talk about rugby all day long. So I'm just going to say, it's like sometimes I see too many times I see where we have a manager role, a leadership role, one that needs to take the team to perform. And if it's the basketball owners, and they're like, oh, now that is a brilliant rugby coach. Brilliant. Doesn't know basketball, never played basketball, but dang, he's done a good job in rugby. Let's hire him to lead our basketball team to championship. I've seen that so many times, and then that person is not able to do that, and so there's failure. And so my comment being that yes, we must hire for talent, but we must also understand that only hiring for talent in certain key positions is not a solid strategy, and it will also lead to failure.
So I have two comments. First one is, what the heck's rugby? No, I'm just kidding. I know what rugby. So the second comment is, totally agree. So again, we got to remember this. It's not just talent, right? So sometimes it gets mixed up. Now, I think that most companies don't hire for talent at all. I think they hire only on experience, but I sometimes think they don't even do that. So again, as we look at the job that we're trying to fill, we're going to reach out, and people are going to send us, and we're going to get information about what? Their experience and their skill. And it's going to say, oh, this person has sales skills. I need to talk to them. Now, I already know that they have this experience behind them, and now I want to find out about their strengths and talents and match it to the role and see if they bring a Karl Malone, John Stockton type of talent to the team. But the first thing I'm going to look for is, do they have experience, in what we're talking about, right? So yeah, Belinda, I totally agree. I don't think we should ever hire for just talent if we don't have the right individuals to begin with by their experience or their skill sets. Okay, somebody that's practiced basketball, and then we're going to hire them for rugby, just doesn't make sense, right? So we want to look at their experience, and then we want to start looking and hiring for talent after we know that they have the ability, experience-wise, in that position or whatever. So great point, and I think that's really important to remember. It's not just talent, but we are hiring for talent once we know that this person fits in the category that we're looking for. So, any other comments? There was one other thing that I thought was good. Who knows what broadbanding is?
Oh man, I totally lost it. Isn't it?
You had it and then you lost it. You can cheat. You can cheat. It's on page 227 on my thing. I believe that's the page. Yep, 227. I'm not sure what page it is on yours, but broadbanding.
It's paying in like ranges, top end and lower end.
Yeah, so we want people to become world class. Don't you want world class performers on your team? I mean, who does not want world class performers on their team? And world class performers, back to Belinda's thought, is it takes time, take some experience to build that, that and develop those skills and talents. And then we start bringing these people on. We want world class performance. But we get mixed up sometimes. We go, okay, so I'm hiring for experience, but I don't know what your performance is. I don't know what your talents are and whether you can perform at the level I need you to. But how about I pay you the top range to begin with, and then, if it works out, great, and if it doesn't, then I've just spent a lot of money on somebody who's not a world-class performer. Sometimes we do way too much of that because of the resume only. And because of the way we do things, we go, okay, let's pay at the top. Let's just start off right at the highest, because this person told me that they were really talented and they showed me a resume, I should pay them this much right from the beginning. So broadbanding allows us to make sure that we pay properly. And as you grow in performance in the role that you have as a professional basketball player, and you then decide, hey, I want to be a coach, are you going to get paid the same salary or money that you made as a high performing all-star basketball player when you decide to go coach? Are you going to get paid that same amount of money? No. But we do it. We go, okay, so you want to go from high performance, leave that role and become a manager. I think I'll pay you more. That's because you're this high performing basketball player, and now you want to be a coach. I'm going to pay you more now. So that's not how it works. Broadbanding says if you're going to go the coach's path, you're probably going to go backwards in pay and then start to build back up again as you develop and are successful and perform well with your team as a coach. Any questions on that? You guys are quiet. You're trying to be quiet, so I'll end early so you can get out on the road and get to your destination. I know that. You're just doing that. Carrie, please just shut up and let us get to our destination. All right. So what I want to ask you, we've got still a few minutes. What do you think we should do?
Hey, Carrie.
Yes, Scott.
An example of that is, so one of Ted's other businesses is called Package Runner. And it's truck drivers. They do a lot of, they drive the big 53 footers and semi trucks and things like that. And I remember having a conversation with the line haul manager who runs and manages all the drivers, and he was saying, it's like, our top drivers make way more money than I do. They're way happier than I am because they don't have to deal with all the stress, and they don't, and that's what they love to do. And so if your main priority is like making money and things like that, then do what you're good at, and the money will come. And I think that that's probably the most important part is, if you're really good at managing people, then great, be really good at managing people. If you're really good at doing sales, great, do sales. If you're really good at driving a truck safely and on time, great, do that, and you'll get paid well for it. And I think that that's probably the most important thing that any manager can do, is try and help any of their employees just discover their potential and what they're really good at. And I think that's the whole point of a coach, is being able to identify, help, and maybe even massage or refine any of those skills to help them be as successful as they can be, which would in turn make them happy, hopefully, right? If they're doing what they love. So anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there as an example.
And get rewarded well as you go along. Belinda?
Yeah, I agree with Scott. I want to add to what Scott's saying, which is people don't necessarily know that that is their hero's path. That's what they need to do to be successful. They have these misconceptions about what they think is going to be success for them, also about how good they really are at what they do. And then when they don't get what they thought was going to be where they should be to be successful and get all of these things, then they quit.
Yeah.
Okay? So I just want to insert into Scott's comment also that it is our responsibility as coaches to manage the expectation. If somebody wants to be successful and wants to be on the hero's path, we need to manage their expectation, make sure they understand what that means and what it takes for them to get up to where they want to be on that hero's path.
And Belinda, if they want to be on the coach's path, we need to manage those expectations too. So if they're shifting gears, and I in the book had a great example of doing that management and managing the expectations, and they give them a 6-month window. It doesn't have to be a full 6 months, but after the 6 months, it's going to be, hey, this wasn't a good fit for me as the coach that you're in here, but that doesn't mean you're going to lose your job. It just means we'll probably put you back in the role. Or the person might say, hey, this isn't a good fit for me, and it allows us to put them back into that role. So we can manage those expectations ahead of time, and they're not surprised by something that comes up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
So that's a good point, and I think it's really important. So there were 3 things here. It says great managers level the playing field, which is part of this expectations. Great managers hold up the mirror to the people and say, here's you. Here, let's take a look at who you are. And then great managers, let's see, what was the last one? Great managers create a safety net, which is what we were just talking about, with making sure that they don't just get booted out. So there was one person that talked about, let's see, this person said, I love my role. I'm the best in the company at it. I am making a lot of money doing it, and I am having more of an impact than I ever thought was possible in my life. So I said to my boss, your one objective with me is to see to it that I never promote again. If you can do that, you have me for life. Wouldn't you want an all-star player on your team to come to you and say, look, I am the best, I make a lot of money, I love what I do, and your one objective as my coach is to make sure that I do not get promoted, and if you do, I will be your superstar for as long as I'm here. That's what we're striving for. That's what we're striving for. Now, if a person wants the promotion, Belinda brought this up just a minute ago. Some of the reasons why people think this is because they've been trained. Look, we've all been trained. When they come to this company, they're going to go, oh, wait a minute. I don't get to climb the corporate ladder. And we should be able to say, you don't need to climb the corporate ladder to get status and money and title. You can do the things you love and not get promoted into incompetence, which we set you up for failure, and you will eventually be terminated. Okay, so let's put people in the right positions. It's okay to be a coach if that's the direction you really want to go, but it's also okay to be a superstar in the position that you have and the role that you have. Let's make that happen for our people. Let's create the path. You as a coach level the playing field. You hold up that mirror and help them see who they are. And let's make sure that people get rewarded for top performance. Okay. Recruiting, sales, HR, finance, it doesn't matter. Let's make sure that top performers get paid to be what they love to do, and not have to nudge them into, hey, if you want to make more money, you should be, you should move up. No, that shouldn't be the pathway. If that's not what they want to do, they shouldn't feel like they have to. So any other thoughts about that? If you disagree, that's fine, you can let me know, but any other thoughts about where you're at with this? I hope that we take the time to hire for talent, okay, which will automatically happen because we've looked at experience and skill, and then we're looking for that talented person. Let's help them. Again, I love the phrase hero's path. I love heroes. Captain America sticks in my mind, and we love heroes. So let's make sure that we design those things. We're going to have some bigger discussions on this about how we make that happen. We need it to happen. Otherwise, we keep losing people because they keep thinking they need to climb the corporate ladder, and we're going to lose them. We're going to lose our talented superstars. Let's give them a path. All right. Let me share the screen one more time for next week, just so we have that in your mind. So, okay. So we are on now Smart Truth number 9. We're going to switch books a little bit. Okay. And that's going to be in the 9 Lies About Work. So next week, Joe, in case he didn't remember or didn't realize, will be working with me on the best plan wins. That's lie number 2. The best plan wins. Okay. So read in that book, the 9 Lies About Work. It's a great book, you guys, but read in that book how to, we're going to talk about priorities, metrics, all that kind of stuff. So the best plan wins. The very end of this chapter talked about termination, Jason. Maybe that's the only section you read. Maybe that's why you kept saying that. I don't know. But
No, that's just like
I'm just
don't
giving you a hard
terminate
time.
me. Don't terminate me, Carrie.
No, I won't. That actually, the art of tough love, which is the very last section, we'll bring that up in Smart Truth number 15, as you can see down here. Talks about reprimands, termination, and that sort of thing. But for next week, again, we're talking about truth number 9, lie number 2, the best plan wins out of 9 lies at work. That's your goal or your homework for this next week. And I really want you to think about, I'm going to ask the question for those of you who have a team underneath you. I'm going to ask the question, who are your superstar hero players on your team? I'm going to ask the question. I want to know who they are. And hopefully we can all know that, and we can talk a little bit about that, this discussion that we just had today. So we've got our homework. It's a long weekend. Now I'm done, and you can go do whatever you were going to do and get on the road with all the million other people. I hope you have a safe and happy holiday weekend, and look forward to talking next week. You guys are great. Thanks for all you do, and thanks for sharing. Appreciate it. Take care, everybody. Have a good one.
Bye.
Thanks, Gary.
Thank you.